Good morning. This is AKA Heather Joy. You guys on board of the lifeboat. Before I get started, let me go through the rules that we have here on the lifeboat really quickly. Let me shut my phone noises off here. That irritates me when I'm trying to do something. There we go, maybe. Oh, come on. All right, there we go. All right, number one. Please don't discuss politics in the live chat in the comment section. We'll leave that to Tommy. He's good at it and he knows when it's appropriate, but most of the time it's just rather triggering and we don't need that here. Second rule, please no overbearing religion. This is not a religious channel. It's fine if you say things like, I could not have found sobriety without God. Or, hey, I'm going to pray for you. Those things are fine, but please don't shove your religion down anyone else's throat. Let's just be adults about it. That's not too hard. The third one, please, no cursing. Please refrain from swearing in the comment section and the live chat. We all slip up. I do too sometimes, but do your best not to. As Tommy always says, if you can't control your mouth, then you can't control your life. And the fourth one, no trolls, please. This is a place where we come to build each other up and help one another through our shared experiences. And there's just no space on this boat for people that are going to be mean. And if you're going to be mean, you're just going to get bound for life. So that's all there is to it. And then I also have a few requests. If you haven't hit that like button, please exit out of the live chat. Hit that little, give it a love tap, that little like button, and then come back in and join us. And please share these videos with people that you think we could help. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All of those things just signal to YouTube's algorithm that we are a channel that people are engaged in, and they will push it and put it out more for us. And we want that. We want to reach as many people and help as many people as we possibly can. So yeah, anyway, let me see who we've got here. Balake. If I say Blake, I always get corrected. Good morning, Kathy. I'm full of hope. Good morning. And Luke Skywalker is here. And John Doe, Valerie, Dennis N, Charlie, Free Xenu Project, Rick Smith, and anybody else I have missed? Annette's here. Let's see. If I have missed you, I apologize. All right. I'm Seventh Son's here. Good morning. Oh boy. I can't even read that. Seventh. It's too early for that kind of thinking. Anyway, boy, as I was getting this live stream ready, I was going to talk about something completely different. And I started getting things ready, and I was just led to a couple of other things. And now I'm going to talk about something different. I mean, it's what I put in the, it's exactly what I put in the thumbnail that I want to talk about today. Not being a victim. So important. But this is for me. This is a really personal live stream. It really opened my eyes to the progress that I've made, and I also saw the places where I could really slip back into things. And it really brought out a lot of strong emotions, a lot of strong memories and things. So I will do my best to hold things together. And hey, good morning, Tommy. Still no power. Oh, good grief. Oh, you didn't sleep well with the heat. Oh, I am so sorry, Tommy. Good night. That's not fun. That kind of heat is miserable. Definitely. I'll give you one on your own. Yeah, since I've got my phone shut down. That last lifeboat, that's me. Anyway. I want to read through something that I found with to kind of get us started off here. I found this website that I am so impressed with. The lady that founded the website, I think she did it started in 2009, and her name is Lori Deshane. It's Dechene. So I'm not sure, but I would say Deshane. Anyway, she's put together this website, and there's so many good articles on it, so much good stuff on there, and it's called Tiny Buddha. And it's just I would highly encourage you guys to go check it out. There's so much good stuff there. I'm not kidding. But I want to read you something that I found on the website. She says, if you're feeling, oh, you two, sorry, cats are arguing over here. Ladies, be nice, be ladies, okay? Wow, they're on me this morning. They just had their breakfast. Anyway, okay, if you're feeling angry, that's the first emotion she talks about. If you're feeling angry with people who have wronged you, if you're feeling frustrated by opportunities you haven't received, if you are feeling limited by obstacles that prevent you from making changes, if you are feeling discouraged by failures and setbacks, if you are feeling ashamed of yourself for mistakes you've made, if you're feeling disappointed by failures and setbacks, if you are feeling anxious about everything that isn't working in your life, then you're human. We all feel these things at times. A hero, however, isn't controlled by or limited by them. A hero is proactive, empowered, and committed to growth and forward momentum, not a passive audience member watching life go by. And I had to reread that again because it really stirred up some things in me just reading what I just read to you. And there was a time where I allowed all of those things to limit me. And I did indeed just sit back as if I was just an audience member watching my life happen to me. I was not the hero in my own life story at all. Not at all. And I really like that idea of becoming the hero of your own life story. And we all have that power. We all have that capability inside of us, even if you don't feel like it right now. I promise you, it is there. I've been at the very bottom of the depths that you can reach, and it didn't seem like things would ever be better, that I could ever make changes, that I could ever be different. And I really stayed in that place for decades. It wasn't a good thing. I found this quote that was on her website too, and it's Jean-Paul Sartre, and he said, "Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you." Let me reread that. Think about this for a minute. Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. You can apply that to so many circumstances in your life, you know. Let's see, let me read you one more thing that she wrote, and then I'll get more into this. There are so many things that really struck me right away that I really want to share with you guys. And this is another one of them. And this is Lori Deshane again. She said something that many of us have in common. We allow our feelings and beliefs about the past to limit our effectiveness and happiness in the present. And even though we want to let go, we don't know how to live a life that doesn't revolve around our former pain. So instead, we keep telling ourselves the same old limiting stories, and in the process, live the story of now based on a sad one from before. The good news is that you can change. We can change how we interpret yesterday, how we view ourselves in response, and how we live today as a result. I think these are all, wow, incredibly empowering ideas. Let me explain a little bit why this all means so much to me. The home I grew up in, a lot of you have already heard this, but there are a lot of new people now too that I would like for them to hear this, because I want people to learn from the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've been through. I'm hoping, that I can share these things with people and they can learn from them, because that was, as you know, that's a deal I made with God a long time ago, that if he would help me figure this all out, I would turn around and do the same and try to help people. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do now. But the house I grew up in, it was interesting. I was the oldest of 4 kids, and very, very strict religious home. That part was fine, but my poor mother had been through some really horrible things in her childhood, and she was an only child, and the things that I have discovered over the years and the things I've observed, I can see now how in her family there was this generational abuse that just, was passed on from generation to generation to generation. And I don't know what happened in me that made me so different, but I refused. When some very cruel things were said to me and very cruel things were done to me, because my mother had no ability to regulate her own emotions when I was a kid. I mean, things were just chaotic in our house, and I'm a very, very sensitive person too. Just absorbing my parents arguing when I was a very tiny child disturbed me deeply. I mean, all of these things, there was just so much chaos in the house, and lots of mental and emotional abuse went on, lots of manipulation, lots of mind games, lots of just very cruel things were said. And I remember many times wishing that I was being hit rather than being told the things that I was being told, because they cut so deeply. They wound so deeply that I'm 52 now, and they still hurt. When someone that is supposed to care for you tells you you're stupid, tells you can't do things right, tells you that you're always messing things up, tells you that you're ugly, that you're, just, and it's coming from someone who is supposed to love you more than anybody else. It hurts, and it wounds you as a child, and it makes you think that there's something inherently flawed in you, and you grow up with this horrible self-esteem. It's non-existent, and I ended up just doing anything I could. I was the perfect girl. I had perfect grades, and I tried to do just everything perfect, just in hopes I would get a pat on the back and say, hey, you did a good job, that was nice. It never came, and I just kept trying and trying, and it just really messed me up in the head is what it did. And for a long time, my early 20s, I did not know what was wrong with me. I knew I was deeply depressed, but I was just messed up. I mean, it's taken me 3 decades to try to work some of these things out. And I'm still dealing with things that happened in my home as a very small kid. There's a lot of other things I've been able to work through, the PTSD from the accident I was in. And I mean, that took a good 20 years to work through some of that. But I'm still to this day, trying to work through some of the stuff that I saw and that I heard between my parents, and then things that came to me. I'm still working on these things, because they cut you so deeply. And there was a very long time where I used all of that emotional abuse as an excuse I blamed my mother, for all of my mental health issues, um, which isn't fair. First of all, it wasn't fair what happened to her. She was doing the best she could. I didn't understand that at the time. If I had known that, maybe it would have been a little easier, but who knows. But I did for a long time. I used all of those, just all that abuse as an excuse to not move forward, to stay in my addiction. I blamed all of my rotten choices, all the destruction from my addiction. I blamed it all on, it was all, you know, the fault of my childhood and the way I was raised. And that's not fair. You know, we all end up with unfortunate circumstances in one way or another. We we have what we're given, and the kind of people that we turn into shows the kind of, shows what we are inside. And whether we're going to remain victims of it and let that determine our lives, or if we're going to rise above it, we're going to learn from it. And that, it's a choice. And it took me a very long time to realize, wait a minute, you are stuck in victim mode. And it's not right. It's not fair to your family. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to anybody. And it's not right. You've got to knock it off and just get on with your life. I mean, it took me a long time to come to that conclusion. And I look back at it now, I'm like, boy, was I dumb. I wasted so much time, so many things I could have done, so many goals that I didn't reach, that I wish I had done, that, I wasted my time. And I chose to be the victim for a long time. I was watching something on, was it the Learning Channel? And I was watching somebody, I think it was on something like My 600-Pound Life. And I was watching a girl that was just completely stuck in this victim mentality. And it hit me. I was watching her and I'm like, oh my word, what is wrong with you? And then it hit me and I'm like, wait, I'm doing that. What is wrong with me? And it really hit me hard. I did some very hard soul searching and spent a lot of time on my knees. And I made it the choice the day that I saw that. I don't even remember what episode or which patient on there it was. I don't even remember anymore. But, the day I realized, I saw it and I realized, wait, I'm doing that too. I made that decision. I will not, will not do this anymore. This is ridiculous. This isn't living. This is just sitting there rotting. Honestly, that's what I felt like. It really hit me. It was a hard decision to make, because anytime you make change, even if it's for the better, it's still rough. It's still hard. It's still uncomfortable. But it's a definite process you go through if you choose that, and it's some serious personal growth. But it's worth it. I'll never forget that day, and the decisions I made that day, and I'm really glad I did. I'm just sorry to my family that it took me so long to see it and finally realize. And now that I look back too, I can see where some of my therapists had tried to push me a little bit. They were very caring, very tender. They were trying to get me to understand. And I don't know, I'm just kind of slow that way. I'm really hard-headed, But I think that's something that we can really all benefit from, is taking a good hard look at our lives and looking at where we are. I know there's so many of us here on the lifeboat that have experienced some serious childhood trauma. And then others have experienced trauma, not necessarily when they were really young, but, there's reasons behind why we become addicts. There's something that we are trying to medicate ourselves. I mean, we're trying to medicate ourselves from feeling or remembering, or but there's something deep inside that you're trying to hide from, you're trying to escape from and mask something very painful. And until we actually face that and deal with it, we're really stuck. And I really feel strongly that it's something that everybody can benefit from is changing your mentality and no longer just allowing your life to happen to you or blaming any person or any circumstances for the reasons why you're an addict, for the reasons why you are where you are, for the decisions you've made, for the position you have in life. I don't know. I just think it's something that we can really all benefit from. I found uh, something interesting. I found that the top 10 limiting stories that we tell ourselves, and I believe this, when we tell ourselves these limiting stories, it's a form of remaining in that victimhood mentality. The very top one is, I can't be happy because life is not fair. You know what? Life just, that was a lesson I had to learn at a very young age, that, life is not fair. Some people are born where it looks like they have everything. And some of us, are born where we're really poor and we have, really, really difficult upbringings. But everybody has something different. But life is never going to be fair. That's just life. It's just something that we have to accept. But I was surprised, and yet I wasn't, when I saw that is the very top limiting thing that people tell themselves. On the second one is, I've already made my choices. My hands are tied now. Can you see how that can really limit you if if you're not happy with where you are, but you fall back on, hey, I've already made my decisions. I've made my bed. I'm going to lie in it now. You can see, right, how limiting that can be, and how that can keep you from making necessary changes that could bring you a lot of fulfillment and a lot of happiness. The third one is, I'm too messed up. I've been through so much. That was me for almost 3 decades. That was me right there. I felt so messed up, and I've already been through so much. I was stuck right there for a very long time, and it really limited me. I There were so many goals, so many opportunities that I had that I lost because I was in that mindset. And there's so many things I wish I would have done by now that I didn't, because I allowed myself to stay there. And some of those opportunities I will never have again. And I'm kicking myself to this day. I mean, that's not helpful either, but it is what it is. Uh, the fourth one, I don't deserve success or happiness because, whatever your reason is. But if you believe that you just flat out don't deserve, for some reason, you don't deserve to be happy, or you don't deserve to be successful, you're limiting yourself right there. You can take yourself as far as you want to go if you allow yourself. If you change your mindset and you're willing to work hard, you can take yourself wherever you want. That's the way it is. And I always say, when there's a will, there's a way. Let's see, the fifth one is, I'm not good enough. Even if I try, I'll probably fail. People that had very challenging circumstances when they were growing up, and as a result have really poor self-esteem, I feel they get stuck here a lot of the time. I remember at a time when I did not feel good enough for anybody or anything. And I did think, I would look at all of the other things that I had done that I'd failed at, and I'd say, well, I'm just going to fail again, so why bother? And again, you limit yourself. The sixth thing on this list is my parents really screwed me up by, you fill in the blank. But again, that was me. I blamed all of my issues on the family I had growing up. Um, Very limiting. Look, I was stuck for a long time because I stuck by my guns on this one. Blamed my family, blamed my upbringing for everything. The seventh one is I can't change because I always find a way to mess things up. Do you ever feel that way? That you don't have the ability to change? Again, that's that victimhood mindset, where you're not allowing yourself to grow and to become what you can become. It's so limiting. But I know so many of us get stuck. We believe that. We really do. And if you're in a very depressed state too, you truly believe that. You really do. You're not thinking clearly when you're in a depressed state, and you're not really thinking clearly when you're trying to get sober either. It's, you're so full of anxiety, and a lot of people experience depression and insomnia, and it's just such a stressful time that you aren't thinking positively, and you're not really thinking clearly, and you really are limiting yourself. I've seen it. I've been a psych nurse, and then I've also worked ICU, and in both places I've seen this in people. You're not alone in having these feelings and these beliefs. You're definitely not alone. See, the eighth one is I always make the wrong choice in with decisions in my life. Uh, that's really going to limit you if you want to stick to your guns and leave yourself stuck and just believe that everything you do is wrong. You have no desire to go out and try and to try to fix things and to try to move forward. It's a very limiting thing. The ninth one is things never work out for me no matter what I do. Now this one, I can see how you can. This happens a lot. At least personally, I've seen it in patients where patients that would come back. They were frequent flyers in the psych ward, and I've heard this one quite a few times, where patients would you try to build them up while they're there for the few weeks that they're there on the psych ward. If they're there that long, you teach, and you try to help and try to boost them, and you're trying to give them medications that will help them to be able to be a little more positive and to think a little more clearly. And you just put so much effort and time into building them up, and when they leave the psych ward, they're going to go out and they're going to slay their dragons, and then there's something in their circumstances that makes things really difficult, and rather than fighting against it, they just give in, and then pretty soon they end up back in the psych ward, and you're like, wait, what happened? And it's that right there that I've heard people say that things just don't work out for me. It doesn't matter what I do, it's never going to work out, so why should I even bother? Why should I try? And it's heartbreaking when you see somebody that goes through that over and over again. And I've been there. I know what it feels like. I've seen it from both sides. Anyway, the 10th thing of the top 10 things people tell themselves that are limiting is I'm not smart or talented or brave, or you fill in the blank. But if you believe that, again, you're limiting yourself. Whew. These are, I think this is something that many of us struggle with. And, it totally makes sense why we get into these spots. So much of it comes from trauma, from poor self-esteem, and, from patterns that were set, the first 7 years of your life. That's where you get so many of the beliefs and the Boy, sorry, I'm just this just stirs so many emotions in me. I'm trying to trying to slow my brain down so I can grab onto the words that I want to say. It is not working all that well this morning. Anyway, I found something interesting on that Tiny Buddha website. There was a quiz. Where did it go? I wanted to. Where did that quiz go? There was a short little quiz that I took, and it it's not that right here. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. It just asked a couple of questions, and according to the answers that you give, it will send you to your email. It'll send you a couple of ideas of ways that that'll show you how you're allowing your past to limit your life now, and what exactly you're getting stuck on. And it can give you a couple of ideas, but it also offers a very expensive program to help you rewrite the story of your life. And it looked really good, but I just don't have $97 right now to shell out. But it did give me some good pointers, and I want to share what I found with you. But let me read you what the quiz is, and see what you guys think about how you'd answer this. In fact, I will put in the community tab, I'll put the link for this quiz if you want to go and do this, because you might find some helpful ideas here. The first question is, what usually triggers you to think about the past in a negative light? And then the three choices are your own shortcomings. Whenever you struggle, you get down on yourself for all your past challenges. The next choice is other people. Troubles in your relationships remind you of troubles in former ones, and that pulls you right back to them. That's me. The third choice is difficult circumstances. When you have a tough day, you think about the life you could be living if you had a different past. The second question that it asks you is, what do you think about most when you start feeling bad about the past? First choice is mistakes, failures, and everything you wish you did differently. The next choice is abuse, mistreatment, and or things you wish other people did differently. Again, that was me. The third choice is opportunities you never received that you wish had been available to you. Okay, the third question is, when you tell someone else about sad things from your life, which you focus on most? The first choice is things you've done or haven't done that you regret. Okay, the next one is the one that was me. It was painful relationships with your parents, your siblings, or an ex, for example. And I have all of the above. And that's always where I fall when I am talking about my life. That's what I focus on when I'm talking about my past. It's the garbage that went on in my house. Anyway, the third one is the bad hand you've been dealt, how you didn't have money growing up, or how you didn't get the job you should have gotten. Okay. I believe there's just two. Oh wait, there's seven. There's 7 questions. So anyway, the next one is, when you think about things in your past that you wish you could change, what do you think those events mean about you? The first one is, you are a fundamentally flawed person. Second choice is, you're not good enough for other people. The third one is, good things don't happen to you or for you. The fifth question is, what do you feel the most when you start thinking about negative things from the past? First choice is shame. Second choice is anger, anger is always mine. The third one is indignation. Just think about where you are. Okay. Let's see this. Okay. The 6th one. Who do you usually blame for the parts of your past you most regret? Yourself, other people, or the world at large? And the 7th one, if you could go back and change your past, what do you think would improve in your life? And the choices here are, you'd feel better about yourself, or you'd have better relationships with other people, or the third one, you have better circumstances. Think about that. Would you actually go back? If you could go back and change your past, would you? I've seriously thought about this. There was a point in my life where I would have, I would have done anything if that was possible to go back and change the circumstances. I would have changed a lot of things. I would have been born into a wealthy house instead of a poor farmer, poor farming family. I would have chosen parents that were a little more stable, But there was a time when I seriously would have changed that. I would have started over if I could have. But I look back now, no way. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. And I mean that honestly. It's taken me a long time to get to that point. But I look at my life now and I look at the circumstances I was born into. I look at the challenges that I've had, the things that have happened to me, and I'm grateful at this point because I would not be who I am today. I wouldn't have the talents. I wouldn't have the capacities. I just would not be the person that I am today. And I'm happy finally with the person that I am. There are things I regret, but there's nothing I can do about them. And dwelling on the mistakes I've made does me no good. It does. The only thing that I find remembering my mistakes, what am I trying to say? I think remembering, I think it's important you remember the mistakes you've made and you remember the pain that you've caused yourself and other people so that you don't make the mistakes again. But dwelling on them, it does you no good. But I honestly, I mean that wholeheartedly. If I had to go back and do my life over again, I would not change a thing. I'm a very hard-headed person. It takes a long time for me to realize things about myself. And I don't think there was another way that I could have learned the things I needed to learn. If I'd had a different life, I wouldn't be who I'm supposed to be. That's me. That's the way I feel. And I personally, I'm very religious person, and I believe that God knows every one of us, and that the circumstances we are born into, they're never mistakes. They're there for vital lessons that we need to learn. That's how I see it. Anyway, I filled out this little quiz, and it gave me a couple of ideas, ways that I can improve, and I want to share with you what it told me. And I think it'd be awesome if you guys all went and took this quiz and found out personally what things are holding you back, and look at the email that they send you and look at the suggestions that are made, because I think they really can help. Let's see, the results of my quiz were basically I spent the majority of my life dwelling on events from the past that seemed unfair, and choices that I made caused me to feel ashamed. That was one of the things that it talked about. Let's see. Oh boy, let's see. Where did... Anyway, it just talks about the different things that I responded to, how I can get really stuck in my life if I allow myself to be if I allow myself to continue to believe and look at my life that way. I can see how I can be really stuck. And the suggestions that made for me were it's basically a few ways to let go of my victim story. And the first one it suggests practicing forgiveness. I love that one. I feel very strongly about that one. That's something I'm still working on with some of the people in my life, but for the most part, I think I'm about there with full forgiveness. The second thing it suggested was identify strengths you've developed because of your past relationships. I love that. And the third thing that it suggests is focus on the good you can do because of what you've experienced. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I have my own channel, and it's really taken a back seat for a while because I've been so involved with the lifeboat. But my motto on my channel is turning your stumbling blocks into stepping stones. That's how I see my life. All the things that used to trip me up, once I overcome them, they are my stepping stones to move me forward. And I feel very strongly about that. I have, let's see, what time is it? Wow. Boy, I can talk, you guys. Oh boy, time flies when I'm on here. There's one other thing that I found I want to share with you guys. Let me pull this up. I think this was very helpful. Where did it go? Here it is. How to break out of the victim mentality. It gives seven ideas for getting yourself out of that mindset. And I think that is just so key, that we change how we look at our lives, and we change how we look at our past. And, if we can look at these things as these obstacles as lessons to be learned and things to be overcome and things that are going to make us stronger, we can really improve our lives and become who we really are inside. And there's these two quotes at the beginning of this article, and I want to share these with you because I think they're really powerful. The first one's by someone named Richard Bach. I don't know who it is, but he says, if it's ever our fault, we can't take responsibility for it. If we can't take responsibility for it, we'll always be its victim. That is so true. So true. And the next one is by someone named John W. Gardner. And he says, self-pity is easily the most destructive of the non-pharmaceutical narcotics. It is addictive, gives momentary pleasure, and separates the victim from reality. That's exactly what we've been trying to do with our addiction. I love that. I had never thought about that, as self-pity as a non-pharmaceutical narcotic, but it's true. It does. It's addictive. It does give us momentary pleasure, and it does separate us from our reality. And that is powerful. Anyway, a lot of us slip into that thinking, that we don't have control over our lives when we really do. And we stay stuck, feeling sorry for ourselves. And you get stuck. Your life gets stuck if that's the way that you are thinking, if that's your mindset. So the first suggestion is, I love this, is know the benefits of victim mentality. And I thought this was a well thought out article. There are benefits to having that victim mentality. And I see it all around us on social media as a prominent thing where people are just play the victim constantly. There are benefits. Okay, the first one is you get attention and validation. You always get good feelings when other people are concerned about you and they try to help you out. You can see, I'm sure, how that can be very addictive. But the thing is, people get tired of the same thing and helping you with the same thing over and over again. People do get tired of it. But, you can see how, that attention and that validation, everybody needs that. Everybody needs that in some form, but this just isn't the best way to do it. But anyway, the second benefit is you don't have to take risks. That is true. When you feel like a victim, you tend not to take any action. And you don't want to risk any rejection. You don't want to risk failing. So you flat out, you just don't take risks. The next, let's see, there's two more benefits here. Let's see. You don't have to take the sometimes heavy responsibility. And what they mean by that is taking responsibility for your own life. It can be hard work. You have to if you're responsible for your own life, you've got to make difficult, rather heavy decisions at times. That's just the way it is. And, in the short term, it's a lot easier just to not make the choice to be personally responsible. And boy, was I stuck in that for a long time. Anyway, the last benefit is it makes you feel right. When you feel like you're the victim, and someone else is the one in the wrong, they're the ones that did it to you. It puts them in the wrong, you in the right. It does give you a feeling of pleasure to some extent. So there really are. I thought this was well thought out. There are definite benefits to that. There really are. Um, let's see. Anyway, the second idea is for getting out of the mentality mindset. It's be okay with not being the victim. I remember this distinctly. It was very weird at first to start thinking this way. But, it's really important to break out of that mentality because it's so limiting. There are benefits, but it's not worth it, in my opinion. And it really does hold you back. You've spent hours each week thinking and talking to people about all the wrongs that have been done to you in your life. Or how sometimes you might even think about how you could take revenge over and triumph over that person. But it's not good thinking, and it really does limit you. You have to get used to the idea that you're going to stand up and you're no longer going to be the victim. You're going to do something to change, and you are going to be responsible for your life, but it's very uncomfortable, and you have to be okay. It's something you just have to. Once you make that choice and you try to start thinking differently and seeing your world differently, it is uncomfortable, and it's just there's new emotions, new feelings that you just have to sit with. You need to feel your feelings. Turning to your addiction and numbing them so you don't feel them is not going to help you. It is uncomfortable at first, but it doesn't last. Trust me, it doesn't last. You can get through this. Anyway, the third idea is take responsibility for your life. A lot of people have self-esteem problems, and that is a big reason why they don't take responsibility for their lives. When you're in that victim mentality, you're not doing anything to promote your self-esteem. It can really damage, some pretty vital parts of your life, like relationships or ambitions or achievements. But until you stand up and you quit being the victim and you take responsibility for your life, there's really no other way. You're going to just stay stuck. So it's something that it takes action, and for everybody, everybody has different circumstances, different history. It's going to be different for everyone. But the feelings, the emotions, and the mindset and the thinking, we all share that. But, once you start taking responsibility for your life and you start being accountable for the mistakes you've made, and you start trying to make good on those things, and you start looking at the difficult things you've been through and you look at them more as lessons than things that have tripped you up, that's when you start to get some self-esteem. When you see you're starting to make some progress and you're accomplishing something, that gives you a little bit of self-esteem, and you just need to work with that and keep moving forward. And it really does boost how you feel about yourself. It does take some hard work, and it's not easy at first. Anyway, the fourth thing that is suggested here is to practice gratitude. And, I've talked a lot ever since I started doing live streams on the Life, but I've talked a lot about gratitude. It's really important that you think about, does someone else on this planet have it worse than I do? And of course, there's people that have it much worse. It's really important that you look at your life and you start being grateful for the things that you do have. And look at yourself, what talents do you have? And, look at your relationships, the good thing, you just need to pay attention to all of the good things in your life and be grateful for them. It changes. I mean, there's so much scientific research behind gratitude and practicing gratitude, how much it can help, can boost your mood, can change the way you think and the way you see the world and the way you see your life. And it's something that sometimes I forget, but most days I have a gratitude journal, and every morning I try to write down 3 things that I am grateful for. And boy, it helps, and it really brings things into perspective. When you have a change in perspective, you can really make some changes in your life. So, practicing gratitude is so important. There's many ways to do it. Like I said, keeping a gratitude journal, expressing to the people in your life, that do things for you, people that love you, that care for you. It's important you express your appreciation and your love to them. That's another way of expressing gratitude, but it is so important to be grateful. It really does change how you think, and it can bring huge changes to your life. And I'm going to have to redo. I'm going to have to do that particular live stream again for all the new people, because I really feel that's an important one. Anyway, the 5th one, I've done a whole live stream on this one too, is forgive. Forgiveness can be so powerful. It's really a difficult thing, when someone has done something to you that just cuts right to your core. It can take a very long time to truly forgive. But I want you to think about it this way: if you are carrying a grudge around, you have a grudge against someone else, is that grudge doing anything to them? They might not even know you were even upset with them for, they probably have no idea. But you holding that grudge is doing absolutely nothing to them. It's only weighting you down. It's only, it's just you're holding on to a lot of negative emotions when you don't forgive. It's not always easy, but it is so freeing when you can do it. I saw a video, and I told the story when I talk about forgiveness, but there is a lady that was a survivor of the Holocaust, she and her twin sister, and they were actually patients of Dr. Mengele when they were just little girls. And she tells in detail the things that they experienced and the things that were done to them. And all these years later, as a Holocaust survivor, she made the decision one day that she wanted to forgive all of those responsible. If I say the certain words, then YouTube kind of picks up on that, and we don't want that. But I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The people that were responsible, particularly Dr. Mengele, she wanted to forgive them. And she actually reached out to one of the doctors that was working with Mengele. And she talked to him. And it blew my mind. She reached out to him, and it blew his mind too, that she wanted to talk to him. But she met with him. They went together to Auschwitz, and he was the closest thing she could find to, representing the people that were responsible for everything. And she freely and frankly forgave them all. And she said when she did that, and she knew she meant it, because she said she felt light afterwards. She was no longer full of sorrow. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't weighted down. That blew my mind. She could go through that and still forgive. That to me is that's huge. And what was really sad is there were so many other people in the community of Holocaust survivors that really turned against her. They were angry with her. They felt like she betrayed them because she forgave those horrible people for the horrible things they had done. But powerful story. Wow. And I can't think of her name right now, but what a woman. What a woman. That I will never forget that story. And I'll never forget when, just the incredible lightness that she felt afterwards. So forgiveness can be so, so powerful and get you out of that mentality mindset. Anyway, there's 2 more. I better hurry here. Let's see, 2 more. The 6th one here is turn your focus outward and help someone out. Oh my goodness, is this a good one? When you are suffering with something and you're feeling sorry for yourself, the one of the best things you can do is really quit focusing inward, focus outward, and help somebody with something. It really takes you out of yourself. You don't mind the suffering as much. It doesn't seem to bother you as much when you get involved with somebody and you can really do something to help someone else out. Oh my goodness, that's a powerful one right there too, and I have experienced it many times. When my fibromyalgia acts up and it gets really bad, and and I'll be having a pity party, and I'll just be absolutely miserable. If I get up and I go do something for maybe my daughter-in-laws, I take the grandkids, or I go to a neighbor that has had a stroke and I do something for her. I take a meal to someone who is ill, or anything like that. If you get out of yourself, it helps so much. And I don't even really understand exactly how. I just know it works. It really does. Anyway, the seventh one is give yourself a break. Getting out of that victim mentality is a difficult thing. And some days you're going to slip, Be gentle with yourself. It's okay. Everybody slips up at times. As long as you don't stay stuck, and you continue, hello, Katie, and you continue to move forward. But please be gentle with yourself. As I said, yeah, when you try to change your way of thinking and you change your mentality, it is uncomfortable at first. And it takes practice, it takes persistence. But I'm here to tell you, it can be done. I promise you it can be done. Okay, let me jump back here and look at the... Oh, Bruce Wayne's here! Offended is a new religion, he says. No kidding. No kidding. I agree with that one. Anyway, let's see who else we've got. We had Bruce Wayne came in. Mind Gains and Zen Wen. And Freezinu, Alice and Stacy came in. M. Hunt, hey. Let's see. Anybody else? There's a new one as well. Paleo 114. Good morning. Forgiveness and having faith. Oh, yes. I wholeheartedly agree with that one. Oh, and Ajot, I haven't seen you in a while. Good morning. Virginia's here. Anybody? If I missed you, I apologize. Sometimes I'm a dork. And Kathy is here. Cheryl's here. It just amazes me. Hey, this is not your scratching post. What are you doing? This is not your scratching post. Silly girl. Let's see. Anybody else? Like I said, if I missed you, I'm sorry. But it blows my mind. Here it is, a Saturday morning, early Saturday morning. What do you want to do on Saturday morning? You want to sleep in. Here you guys all are coming to listen to me babble. It still blows my mind. And I've been doing this since April. I'm still blown away. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great morning. And I hope you'll join us this evening. Tommy and I are going to do Seinfeld trivia this evening. Saturday evening, it's SNL on TLB, and should be fun. Anyway, I believe Tommy has something else planned today too, because it is tomorrow, I believe, is the 2-year anniversary of his channel, of the Lifeboat. So yeah, we're gonna celebrate. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. And, if you don't have your list of 5 people, everybody needs to have a list of 5 people so that when something comes up and it makes you feel like you want to relapse, you can get on the phone with them and talk it through. Okay. Oh, it saves people's bacon time and time again. But, that's something, you can work on. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you again very soon. We'll see you then. Thanks, guys.